Home is where connections are made, memories are formed, and ideas are born. And no one knows home better than NFM. Thanks for tuning in to I Am Home, the podcast that goes deeper than trends and dives into what it means to make your house a home.
Hello, and welcome to I Am Home, the Home Life Best Life podcast. I'm Tyler Weiskup, joined by my co-host who's as smooth, suave, and svelte as a velvet sofa.
Oh,
it's
wow.
Becca Subback.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi, Becca. Unfortunately, Hillary's not here with us today, but we do have a special guest to talk to us about our theme this month, which is loving the home you have, and our specific topic. And Megan will introduce you properly in a second, but our specific topic is so perfect for you. Sofa styles for every home and every layout. I'm really excited to jump into this conversation with you. But before we do, let me tell you why we're even doing this podcast. And that's because NFM is more than just your everything home store. We're in the business of improving lifestyles because your home life should be your best life. And you can learn more at nfm.com. Okay, so again, super thrilled and honored to have our special guest here, Megan Coan. You are our senior upholstery buyer.
Yes, excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. I do have like a couple little factoids about you just to introduce you to the audience. You've been with NFM for 17 years. Mm-hmm. How is that possible?
I don't know. That's a very good question.
That's amazing.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Has it been that?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That makes me feel so old.
Yes, I know you two go way back.
We do. Yes, I hired Megan.
Yes.
No kidding.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so you hired her, what was it, straight assistant buying? And that's what I have kind of on the thing, or were there some merchandising elements in there? Okay.
Yeah.
So merchandising, assistant buying, and then buying now, and youth bedrooms, upholstery. Megan has a degree in apparel and textiles from Kansas State University.
Go Wildcats.
Yes, go Wildcats. I love that. You're a mom. I heard that you're an incredible golfer as well.
Oh,
yes, this is I can't reveal my sources. Last thing that they mentioned that you might be a quiet Swiftie. Is that true?
That is true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, do you have a specific era?
Oh, all of them.
Yeah.
And my daughter is a big Swiftie now. And so we do a lot of concerts and outfit changes.
Oh, so you've gone?
And no, we just have our own concert in our
personal.
house. Yeah.
I love it.
On the coffee table.
Even better.
Yes.
Even better. That's adorable. Well, Megan, again, you're the perfect person for this conversation about sofa styles. We're honored to have you. But I wonder if we can start just maybe at the beginning, starting your sofa search. If we've got customers who are curious about trying to figure out what's the right sofa for them, where do you direct them? What's kind of the first step?
Yeah, well, I think before you kind of get started, you have to kind of look at your lifestyle. So kind of what do you want to use with your home? So maybe the style of your home would be one thing to consider, but then also, do you have a family? Do you have pets? Other things, what's your personal preference that you're looking for? And then, from there, I would do a lot of Pinterest boards would be a good inspiration, as well as looking at other nfm.com would be a good resource to use, or even some design magazines that are out there, or home magazines, or HGTV. And kind of starting that search on what you like or what you're looking for, and then combine that with what your needs are.
Yeah.
What room is this going in? Is it going in a formal living room? Is it going in, a movie room? Or are you going to be lounging, or are you going to be, upright sitting and hosting with guests? And kind of starting that, journey, and then going to the next thing, which would be like measuring your room or measuring your space to kind of know, what size of something that you're looking for, or sofa that you're looking for.
Right.
So
I heard some of like the practical, the practical things there.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, the specific use that you would have for the specific room. And then I heard like a little bit of like the style and trying to like find what your vibe is.
Yeah.
And then you got even more practical with like the measuring side of things. So I feel like that's a really good like starting list for people.
Yeah.
From there, like, how do you recommend like narrowing down those options? Because like there's so many different kinds of there's sofas, you've got sectionals, you've got, and then every one of those comes with like different styles and fabrics and all that kind of stuff. So do you have any advice, like once you're starting to gather all that information, like what is the best way to just pare back and figure out what works for them?
Yeah. So I think kind of once you have your style decided, and then maybe even the size that you want in your space, if you do want a sofa, you do want a sectional, I think the next most important thing is coming into a store, right? Sitting in it. Because besides just the style that you have, there's different seat depths. So depending on if you're a really tall person or if you're, shorter, like what is most comfortable for you? And are you the person that wants to just curl into a sofa and kick your legs up and, curl in? Or do you want to have a more shallow seat where you're sitting more upright or feel more support? So I think that's probably your next step would be come in and start testing them out.
Yeah, I feel like it's especially if it's going to be a sofa that you're going to be like using every day, like you got to sit on it. Like it might look beautiful and it might be the most uncomfortable sofa you've ever sat on in your life. So I feel like that's like a huge step that you don't want to miss.
Yeah. Absolutely.
100%. I mean, like having you mentioned like Pinterest, and even going to our website, do some searching. There's all sorts of different like design magazines and things like that where you can kind of like figure out the style that you like. But then when you actually sit down in it, you feel it, you touch the fabric, and you're like, and then you can kind of like maybe see like from a quality perspective, that looked great and it was like really affordable. But like when you pick it up, you're like, oh man, I'm not sure that this is going to be the one that's going to hold up to my 7 kids and 3 dogs.
Exactly.
So that's it makes a lot of sense. I really like that suggestion. What about features? Like, how do you know which features are things that like reclining and storage and things like that are like important, or just like novelty type things? Like, when does it make sense for a feature to kind of be something that like you're really digging into when you're doing your search?
Yeah. So I think a lot of that could depend on where it's going in your house, on what kind of features that you do want. If it's more like your TV type room and you want to recline, or you want like your headrest to recline. If you're reclining back, sometimes you want your head to recline too, so you can still see the TV. Or, if you need storage consoles for your remotes because you want to hide, all of that stuff you don't want sitting out all the time. So that's like an option for you. So I think a lot of it just comes down to, what room you want it going into, and then what features are important for that room. But I think the cool thing now too is that, reclining furniture used to be, this kind of big and kind of bubba, and they've really streamlined it. So if you're a customer that likes clean lines and more contemporary styling, they call it motionary, because it's like almost looks like stationary, but
you
it's
can't tell
still.
it
like
reclines.
You can't tell, so you can get that that comfort level that a lot of people enjoy with that motion furniture, but in more of like a stationary type styling.
Right.
So
Remember back in the day when it was just like, it felt like that giant lever.
Like
you
and
just
the
had
bigger and puffier, the better.
It looked kind of
maybe some camo print.
Right. Now it's like a little bit like there's still those options if that's what you're into, but like it's a little bit more design friendly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked a little bit about starting your sofa search. We've got like finding the right fit. It's kind of this next section that I have here. Any advice for someone deciding like if a sectional sofa is right for their space? Like, what should they be looking for when deciding if like the sectional is the sofa that's going to be the right thing for them?
Yeah, so I think the one thing to consider with sectionals is, obviously just the space of the room, right? So, and if it's going to be free floating in the room, if it's going to be up against a wall. But I think the one thing that's like is really trending right now is modular sectionals.
Yes.
And the cool thing about a modular sectional is that you can kind of build it to be as big or as small as you would like.
Yeah.
And each like sitting space is almost like its own piece of furniture. And so it's easier to get in and out of like smaller spaces, to deliver, to get into basements, all those different things that could be challenging sometimes depending on like what room it's going in.
Yeah.
You can kind of eliminate those by a modular sectional. And I would say that's something that's like really trending, especially this year and going into 2025, is that style of sectional.
And the nice thing about modular sofas too is I feel like you literally can design it to fit however exactly you need. Like, if you need it to be giant, if you need like a chaise on one side or the other side or whatever, I feel like sometimes it's not in the right configuration. So
Mhm.
the modular one like really solves that problem.
Yeah.
Just really making it exactly how you need it for whatever space you're in.
But for people that are like a little nervous because it feels like you have to do more, it's not you just walk in, you're like, I sit in it, I like it. Like when
Mhm.
you're doing the modular sofa, let's sell them on a little bit of that idea. Because there's so many different options that you can do, but it's not complicated to kind of like figure that stuff out, right?
Yeah, so a lot of times it's actually just like a handful of different options. It's just
Pieces,
how
putting
many
them
pieces
together.
that you buy to put
Right.
together. So a lot of times, like in our store, we even have like almost like a little schematic in what you can kind of build it yourself, and you
Yeah.
can kind of put it in a room and see where it would fit or how big it would look like.
Yeah.
So that's one option. And then also a lot of times when you come in and you're working with the salesperson, we have like tear sheets that you can take home with you that says these are the dimensions of each piece in that and what would maybe all go together. And then you can, measure and fit and make sure that that works in your space.
Right. Yeah. All of those tools make it like really simple for
Yeah.
you to kind of like design it. It's not like you're building something out of
Yes.
1,000 different pieces. You have like options and you're like, it guides you towards solutions based on your spaces.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I feel like the salespeople, like they do it all day, every day,
Yes.
so they know what they're doing. So like you don't have to figure it out yourself.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the great part about using
Yes.
the salesperson.
Absolutely.
Okay, what about small spaces? Like, a lot of people, futons, day beds. Are there specific areas or different kinds of furniture that you tend to point people towards when you're looking at a small space?
So for a small space, I think a lot of it's just the overall dimension, but it's just like, is it a multifunctional space for you? So in that smaller space, do you need it to be, a guest bedroom at some time, or, and then you could use features like a sleeper that has a pull-out mattress or a click-clack that reclines basically flat, and you could use it as a bed or something like that. So there's like those kind of like solutions to smaller spaces, so they could be like multi-purpose for your household. But other than that, I mean, with the modular, that's another thing you could do around a small space, is that you could buy, smaller
Maybe just
pieces.
a couple sections versus
Exactly.
like 4 or 5 or 6.
Another really popular thing is like if you like a sectional, but you can't necessarily fit that in a room, like a sofa chaise is what we call it. So it's like the dimensions of a sofa, but it has a chaise on it. And so it kind of, you can still kick your feet up on one side of it. So you still get that like additional comfort level if that's what you want to do, is like lounge, but you could still fit it into a smaller space.
Yeah, those are great suggestions.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
Yeah. Are there any underrated like sofa styles or features that you think people should dig into a little bit more?
Ooh, underrated. I don't know if I would say underrated. I would say things that kind of are trending is like a pop-up basically mechanism that lives underneath like a sofa or a sectional that basically you could pull up and pop it up, and then it kind of can create almost like a pit type thing for you. So that's something I feel like that I wouldn't say it's underrated by any means, but it's like definitely trending and
newer that people might not know about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would be one. And then I feel like the new thing is just like sound, like adding sound into your living room furniture.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that a lot in motion or home theater, but you're starting to kind of see it trickle over into like stationary furniture as well. So
you can buy like a sectional that has like in the
speakers.
Yeah. So a lot of it would either be like in the arm or like in a console that would be like in the group.
Yeah.
But you could Bluetooth pair it and, play, sound through it. So
yeah. I mean, how many times have you been listening to the TV and like you're like, I can't hear the word, like what are they actually saying? And is it the music too loud? And like, but if you like have that sound directed towards you, you don't have to have like a fancy kind of knocks out maybe having a fancy surround sound system if you've got it built into your sofa too. So that's kind of nifty.
Yeah.
Now, the pit thing that you were describing, is that like, what are we talking, like a ball pit that you can make? Like, what is that? Like,
how? Yeah. No. So if it's like a sectional and it has like a sofa on one side and then maybe a chaise on the other, then basically the middle part that people would normally sit underneath it would pop up, and then it's basically all one level.
Gotcha.
I'm describing that.
Like if you were to have like an ottoman, it's like an ottoman that you could
Yes.
scoot in, but it's already built into your sofa.
Yes.
That's what I'm picturing it as.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's awesome. Because
Exactly.
now, like, versus like the people just on the sides being able to like sit down and
Or
relax.
put their legs
Now,
out.
yes,
you know?
now everybody has the option
Yeah.
to do that.
Absolutely.
actually
That's
cool.
really underrated. Yeah, I love that.
I
Okay.
have one question before you move on.
Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like we talked about it, but I feel like now that I have a puppy, I feel like the way the cushions and the pillows and all of those things, I feel like you totally need to think about if you have kids or whatever. But I have this puppy that likes to sit on the top of the sofa and look out the window because it's the best view out the window. And it's driving me crazy because it's flattened and all of the time. I'm so are there different types of sofa backs that would help make that not so annoying?
So there's definitely on sofa backs. So there's some that are what they would call semi-attached.
Yes.
Where it's attached at basically the top of the frame. And that's one where you can't reverse basically the pillows. They can't come off or anything like that. And then there's just ones that aren't attached, right? So that gives you the opportunity to kind of fluff or flip them around if you need to.
Cool.
And then a lot of it is just also just the fill,
the material.
Yeah. So what kind of filling, or is it fiber, blown fiber? Is it down? Down sits so comfortable, and it's just is so comfy, but obviously it puddle, it can puddle or kind of fall down, and you just have to kind of fluff it back up and kind of make it come back to life. But really the dog just shouldn't be. No,
totally. I don't know how many I've tried that. Oh my gosh.
As my dog does the same thing.
It's
right?
but I've never thought about it before. And I'm what? Oh my gosh, this is the most annoying, but it's a down sofa.
It is, yeah.
And so it's well, and then the pillows look so sad, and then I fluff them, and then he goes right back.
I know. Because he's thank you. I've been waiting for you to do that. No.
It's a never ending
it is
battle at the moment.
Is there so Becca, I'm curious, where is the sofa position in your room? Is it floating in the middle?
Yeah, it's floating. It's not up against a wall.
Gotcha.
And it's the best view to check out what's going on in the
That's
backyard, in the street,
Absolutely.
get the action,
See
all the action.
That's our new situation, because before we had our sectional was kind of positioned closer to a window, and we had a sofa table behind there that we had a specific spot where he would sit and look out the window. Worked great. Now we have the same situation. The new one, thankfully it's not down, so it's not getting totally ruined, but certainly tons of dog hair and things like that we're always getting rid of. But they're too precious for us to yell at them and make them stop.
I know.
Oh, I mean, I've tried to make him stop. I haven't yelled at him about it, but I'll move him.
Yeah.
And then he just goes
Jumps
right
right
back.
back
I'm
up.
this is pretty worthless effort right now. See me
Well, I'd love to dig into trends a little bit more, because I feel like that's one of the things that people are most interested in. We talked about some of those cool features. Are there specific kinds of design styles that people are into right now? Whether it's the form of the sofa sectionals, or is it prints, things like that? I'm curious.
Yeah. So for trends, something we've been seeing is more curves in upholstery, or just geometric type shapes. So you are seeing a lot of curves in as a trending item. I also think that a lot of open concept houses, right? You see all parts of your sofas. Yeah. You're seeing stuff with more details in the backs, or those curves that kind of give that. So I'd say that's a big trend. And then just more contemporary styling is probably trending more, that mid-century modern kind of feel. So those would be for furniture styles, but for colors that we're seeing, I think 2025 Pantone color is mocha. So you're definitely seeing those more earthy, neutrals, browns, kind of trending more, and kind of the more gray, kind of colder colors are falling off a little bit to kind of.
And what we talked about in a previous episode, those earth colors, the Pantone color of the year, obviously one of those colors, but they're still work really well as a neutral for your home for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
So it works really well, and those colors are just a little bit more trend forward again than maybe those grays that we've been seeing for a real long time.
Yeah, it is nice to see just a warm up of
I agree,
a warmer neutral.
Yes. Yeah. And then for color, if you're a person that loves to have color in your home, which we're seeing more and more people, I think, doing that, greens are still very, very popular for us.
Yeah.
Blue tones are good. And then we're seeing this warm spice, or a paprika or ginger, cool. I guess, as an upholstery color that's almost becoming another neutral type color for us.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Yeah, that's a good list. Are there any trends that you think our customers might avoid if they're like, these are a little like, these are popular right now, but they may not be in like 5-10 years?
Oh, I mean, I feel like everything like
it's a
turns in
cycle.
5 or 10 years,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And you
And then
might
it'll
not
be
like
back.
anything in the next 5 or 10 years, that you have in your home. So I think that right now you just go with what, makes you feel like it will fit the best in your home and makes you happy. You walk in there every day or sit on it every day or something. So we're definitely seeing like the sheepskin type fabrics or bouclés and stuff. I think they're still popular, but I do see them maybe trending a little bit down, I guess.
Okay.
But velvets are still really popular, like chunky, like tweeds. Everyone loves that soft, like a soft, like feel. I feel like has been really, especially since COVID.
Yeah.
Like
whatever makes it more cozy.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like a high pile or a soft
Yeah.
fabric, has a really nice hand. I feel like those have just been kind of tried and true for the last, few years, and will continue, I think, going forward.
That makes sense. Okay, so we talked a little bit about some of these sofa myths before we hopped on officially. Is it true that sectionals don't work in small spaces? I feel like we talked a little bit about this already.
Yeah, false.
Yeah.
No, I just think, there's definitely different options, and you can pretty much go as big or as small as you want.
Yeah.
And you think about, even at Nebraska Furniture Mart, we have like over 140, upholstery groups on the floor. So we'll find you something for sure that can fit your
And like
space.
you can, I feel like if it's not the right fabric or whatever, there's so many options to like order it in.
Yes.
If you don't, if you like the style and you like how it sits and all of those things, like there's so many options beyond what you're just seeing on the floor.
Absolutely.
We talked about like the modular too, like maybe just you have a little bit smaller, like 3 pieces, 4 pieces instead of like 6, 7, 8 pieces.
Exactly.
Could be another way in for the small sections. Okay. Second myth here: do higher price sofas really deliver more value, or can budget friendly options be just as good?
So I think this one's kind of tricky because I think both are great. I think that a lot of times when it's, something that is an opening price point, the things that it's lacking is some of the customization story that you can get. So, you get into maybe our better and best price points, and you can basically customize it to exactly how you want. You can pick your arm style. You can pick your back if you want it semi-attached or not attached. You can pick the firmness of your seat if you want down, or if you want to add additional things. And then your fabrics, we have, programs in which we have 150 different fabrics that you can choose from to put on that sofa. And then you can pick the pillows. So you can truly, truly customize it to, what works in your space and your style. Whereas some of the other stuff, a lot of it is just, it's what you see is what you get. And it's still a good value for the customer. It's just, you might not have all of those additional options to add to it. So
yeah. And you need those options for people who like are at a place in their lives where like entry level home and an apartment or something like that. And you're just looking for kind of that first quick option, gives you exactly what you need.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question that I have here. What's the biggest misconception customers have when they're shopping for a sofa?
This is a tough one. I mean, maybe a misconception could kind of fall back onto what you had just said previously, that like just because you're spending more money means that I do think that there is some features and benefits to some of those programs, but you can get a very good value and you can get a really good product at an opening price point.
And it's going to hold up. Like it's going to be,
Absolutely.
it's just not necessarily being able to pick all of those individual things that you would want to pick, but like they're still really, really good sofas.
Yeah. Oh, my husband, I remember when we first started dating, like you couldn't break that sofa and I wanted it to break. Like it was like not like my favorite, but like it was tried and true, like made it through college, made it after college, this thing was good.
It's not going away.
Exactly. So we eventually got rid of it.
But not because it broke.
Exactly.
What did it look like?
So it was like a mossy green. I feel like everyone had this sofa.
Like a microfiber?
Microfiber, had like padded arms.
Yep.
Yeah, it was good. Mm-hmm.
I think it sounds great. And we were just talking about how earth tones are coming back. So like
we would have kept it, right?
Well, Megan, like a comfy sofa, I feel like we could just sit here with you here forever, but we have to go. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate this.
Thank you.
I also want to thank my co-hosts, Becca, our producers, Ann and Scott, and all our listeners. Remember to visit nfm.com/podcast to send us your questions on all things home life. That's going to do it for us for now. But last thing, as always, is to remember that home is what you make it.
Thanks for joining us today for I Am Home with Tyler Weisskopf, Hillary Waltemath, and Becca Sudbeck. No one knows home quite like NFM. So if you'd like more information on home design at NFM, please check out nfm.com and leave us a review on the podcast platform of your choice.